All right, everybody. Good Tuesday morning to you. Welcome into the Auburn Blitz podcast. And coming to you after another big Auburn win, this time on the basketball court out in Maui. Auburn gets things started the right way out in Maui with a big 83-81 win over a really good Iowa State team. And we got a lot to talk about this morning about that game, who they'll be playing tonight as they move on. And but right now, Auburn has the two best wins in the country this early in the season. And Randy, just a great effort. I'll pull up a little graphic and show everybody here in just a minute. I mean, where we were at one point in time in the game and how this thing ended. But just a great effort, man. Proud to get a win against an Iowa State team that, man, I thought in the first half, this team plays defense like his. Nobody may beat them all year.
Well, I was braced. I told you last night that looked like we were matched up with someone unless we get our stuff together on the offensive side that we might get run out of the gym. And it was that takeaway that you just said. It's just how demanding they are on you on the defensive end. Physical, strong. Their guard plays, that really sturdy, strong guard play, Brett, that makes it really difficult to find open shots. But it was a funny tale of two halves last night. My takeaway in the first half is when Tahad Pettiford's not in the ball game, I don't know how we get shots against teams like that.
Right.
He was dynamic enough, not that he hit all of his shots, but he's so quick, start and stop, handles are so good, physical play, that he can go and get you a shot and it opens up play for everyone else. But, Brett, starting in the second half, we didn't see a lot more of Tahad Pettiford, especially closing the basketball game out. And I thought that was a big storyline, was how Auburn closed the game out with five seniors out there on the court together. Denver Jones the ball was rolling through him to close the game out. I don't know that many of us expected that to start the season, knowing some of the offensive players that we had. CBM, he gets another bad pushing foul that cost us 4 points. But if he doesn't play the way he does in the second half, we don't win that basketball game. He was so confident, scoring 18 points in the second half, taking shots from the perimeter and knocking them down, stepping to the free throw line, knocking down foul shots. It's probably a good place to start, Brett. Auburn's not been a very good free throw shooting team over the last few years. It's been our nemesis. Last night was not a problem, buddy. We knocked down key free throws throughout the game. Janai shot it really well from the line, and we needed every last one of those points from the free throw line, or a 2-point win could have easily been a 6 or 8 point loss if we shot a free throw percentage like we have the majority of the year.
Yeah, 18-22. Man, that was really the story. I mean, and it just shows you in big games against really good teams, it's going to come down to the free throw line in some form or fashion. It may come down at the end, you having to hit a couple of key ones, or it may be how you shot all the way through the game. And a lot of people want to look at the guy at the free throw line at the end of the game, making or missing one, but it really – you can have space or you can be behind based on how you shot throughout the game. So I thought 18-22, I mean, Dylan Cardwell missed 2 of those, and those were completely atrocious. Outside of that, we only missed 2 more. I was very impressed with how we shot the basketball from the free throw line, and it's going to take that kind of effort to be a championship team. That was really something that Auburn struggled with, the last couple of years, is how good they've been from the free throw line, and it was the ultimate determining factor in some key games. But, man, last night, like you said, Janai Broom's the best player in the country to me, and they said it on the broadcast last night, and you and I have been saying it, really since the season started, that he had the potential to be. And, once again, he had 21 points. He was cramping at the end of that game, had enough gas, I guess, left in that leg to get that one last put back in, thank God. But I just really love the no fold of this team. And like I said, at this point in time in the game right here, I mean, it didn't look good. I mean, you're down 41 to 23 with 4 minutes to go in the first half, and to see how this game ended, 83-81, really tells you that this team's not going to ever be out of any basketball game, and that's encouraging. And that's a deep bench, and you don't know who you're going to get points out of on any given night. There are some concerning areas, just like every team's got. But we won't really dive into those because you just had another top 5 win. And, Bruce Pearl, like he said last night, we're continuing to break records at Auburn, continuing to do things we've never done at Auburn. And I'll run down some of those stats and some of those things here in just a minute. But, I was a little concerned with our guard play outside of Pettiford, but then Denver Jones got his legs under him. And we needed him to, man, because if we didn't have some type of complimentary guard play in addition to Pettiford, we weren't going to win the game. And then Miles Kelly found his way a little bit. He was 2 for 9 from outside. So we didn't quite make it to the 10 made threes. Randy, we almost did. Denver's foot was on the line, but 9 made threes is always going to put you right there. The free throw line was the difference.
Well, the beauty of this team, though, is let's just say J.P. Pegues doesn't get it going. He had quite a few minutes last night.
He didn't even shoot the basketball.
Never shot from the field. Really he struggles against defense that's going to be extended like that. If you remember Miami a few years back on Wendell Green, in that NCAA run when they extended the defense out, we were just really deficient in trying to get open shots and even feed the ball down in the post. But my point is, we've got enough players over there. They've got enough talent that when one's not going, you can go to somebody else. And you don't necessarily even have to go back to the one that doesn't have it going that night. And that's a luxury. It's a luxury that we haven't had the benefit of at Auburn in my lifetime. But we got it now under Bruce Pearl. And it's an elder group right now, too. This is a senior-laden group that you can go, okay, I'm not going to put the McDonald's All-American 33rd ranked player in the country that's showing all of us why he was ranked that high into Todd Pettiford out there on the court the last 10 minutes. I'm going to roll with these seniors, and I'm going to let Denver Jones handle the ball along with CBM. Now, you mentioned that, but I'll say it too. Miles Kelly and CBM, they're just guards too. They don't have the bulk. They can defend, and they defend hard, but they don't have the bulk to be anything outside of a 2 or a 3. I know both of them are playing that 2 and 3 position, but they got enough height to play some different positions and defend some different players on the court. But I like that rotation, Brett. And Dylan Carter, when we went big in the second half, when we made the transition, when we decided we weren't going to go small anymore and we're going to go big 80% of the time with these 5 guys. And, Brett, that's a big difference between this year's coaching style and last year. Last year, we had a certain set of minutes that we wanted to get everyone, and we were bound to determine we were going to get those minutes for those players. Second half of this year in these key games, if he gets a feel with a select group of 6 or 7 players, he won't go to that bench much more. And I like that, Brett. I do like that the first half you're trying to keep them fresh, but 80% of Janai Broome closing that game out is way better than 100% from just about anybody else in the country. That's how good he is. That's how dependent we are on him being in the ball game. And Bruce Pearl rolled the dice last night, kept him in there with about 4 minutes to go, even though you could see cramps were setting in then. And aren't we glad that he did leave him in there because he got to play at the end to win it for us.
Yeah, going to have to find some gas in the tank real fast because you got to turn around and play North Carolina now. They do too. I mean, they had to come from behind. Man, they got way down in the first half. We're down big to Dayton, and then come back and win that game at the end the way they did last night. So, again, this is a war of attrition in a tournament like this. But glad that you won and that you moved on. We'll talk about some of those other games here in just a minute. But one of those comments that Bruce Pearl made after the game last night, and Derek is right, just commented, Chris Moore, Mr. Hustle, always helps us. Let me tell you something. That guy came up with some key rebounds and extended possessions for us on the offensive end. He's always doing the dirty stuff and the stuff nobody else wants to do. that doesn't really make it to the box score, that doesn't really get talked about on shows like this. But he's the guy out there that ultimately, if he doesn't make the plays he makes, you probably don't win the game. So everybody has a role on a team, and he's got a big role, and that's why he continues to get minutes, because that's what Bruce Pearl sees in him, is a guy that will pester the hell out of whoever he's guarding and will not be afraid to get in there and match up against a guy that's bigger than him and out-muscle him for rebounds. So you got to have those types on your team. You got to have those pieces. And Chris Moore, who's been around for a long time, is a key part of that. But Bruce said last night, said one of the things we talk about with Auburn basketball is to try to make history. He said this is our second top 5 in the non-conference win ever. Second. I mean, hey, look what we've done this year. And then he went on to say that Auburn is the first team since 1990, Kansas, to start 5-0 with 2 top 5 wins. So I'm not saying this team's going to win a national championship, but what you are saying is this team is proving right out of the gate that they're going to be a major player in this thing unless something massively changes, unless an injury hits this team or something like that, because this team's going to go out and compete against anybody in the country. I'm not ready to say this is the best team in the country, but I don't know anybody right now that's got a case up better than them.
I'm glad we're playing these games because my thoughts going into last night and what we actually did from a rotation standpoint is totally different. And until you put yourself in a situation where you've got to make some really big decisions on who you're going to put out there and closing out games like we did last night, you don't know. And then if you end up in that situation 5 or 6 times throughout the year instead of 1 or 2, when tournament play comes around, look, Denver Jones, he can play the 1. Denver Jones, if we need him to go create a shot, he can do it. He may not make it, but the reason that Janai had a chance to tap that one back in, Brett, was Denver Jones' hustle and his ability to break down the defense and get the ball to the bucket.
And he didn't hesitate.
No, he didn't.
He attacked, and that's what got his defender at the top of the key, Randy. If you'll remember, he kind of slowed for a second, and then he accelerated.
Well, he went to his weak hand.
He went to his weak, but he caught him kind of off guard, and he stumbled back. And once he got past his shoulder, he was inside the lane.
And he's physical enough to do that. And it takes somebody that's been in the college game 4 or 5 years. Pettiford's a little different because he's built different. He's got a bit of a running back style to his physique, whereas JP Pegues, he gets in games like that, he just gets out physical. It's that simple. He doesn't match up with these big guards that you'll see in some of these teams, but we've got the ones that do, and that's a good thing. And we defend so hard, but it was a great game overall. I loved our defensive pressure in the second half, Brett. We cleaned some things up. They didn't get as many open looks as they did in the first half. And, hey, buddy, that could be because of the lack of rotation too.
Right.
They may have gone in the halftime and said, look, it's not only that. I think the decisions we make and who we have on the court.
Right.
We may have gone, look, we're not going to substitute at the rate that we did in the first half because we're giving up too many open shots, and we're going to stick with this same group of guys and let them get comfortable playing with each other. And but man, let's talk about Iowa State real quick. Yeah. That is a championship contending basketball team.
Yeah, it is.
They're big, they're strong, they shoot the ball really well. It was a hell of a win for us, buddy, because they passed the eye test last night.
We've been to a neutral site game, that game, and won. And then we went to Houston's backyard, who plays Alabama tonight, by the way. And we'll see how that works out. But I'm telling you, man, this is you can't have 2 better wins. Our Stews said the only thing that stinks is the start time for tonight's game, 10 p.m. He said that what a game last night. The whole Maui Invitational has been phenomenal so far. Justin says wore down. Absolutely. It's such a great – man, from Saturday to now, can we keep this thing rolling through this Saturday? Can we – we got North Carolina tonight. Man, I'm fine with doing that and then winning tomorrow night too, and winning the Maui Invitational and then winning the Iron Bowl on Saturday, man. Let's just all keep this positive vibe going. It's just such a fun game. But let me say this: I just thought that Iowa State outplayed us in the first half. Simple. They were. I told y'all they were a step faster than us on both sides of the floor. And again, it wasn't that we were lazy. They just were a little bit better than us. And I think
they hit shots, Brett.
They hit shots, but they were quicker in the passing lanes. They were quicker to the basket. And I think we just had to go in and say, look, man, we gotta improve what we're doing, or we're going to get run out of here. And Auburn did. So it's not like we were holding anything back. I think we were just caught by a little bit surprise of how quick they were and how intense their defensive pressure is, because it's usually us putting the pressure on teams. And I hate to say it, but I think Iowa State may have been a little bit better defensively than us last night, but we did make some great adjustments. And that's one thing that Bruce Pearl does every single night, is that you get a different team from one half to the next a lot of times, because he's so good at making adjustments. Just like you said, Auburn made the adjustments to go big in the second half, and it forced Iowa State to have to counter that, and you put them at a deficiency, and Auburn took advantage of it.
We gave up 49 points in the first half and only 32 in the second. So that's the key thing. And they started missing some shots. I do think they got a little bit winded there toward the end. But a couple of thoughts on their defense. As I coach a lot of youth basketball, and you see some just basic schemes that you do in youth basketball. And you and I have the good fortune of calling a lot of great high school teams that are coached up and have different schemes that you see and have changed a lot over the years here in the state of Alabama. But one takeaway I had last night was it felt like Iowa State wanted you to get to the sidelines. If they could force you to the sideline, you were in a mess. You were going to be trapped. So you had to play in the middle of the floor. And that's something you teach a 10, 11, 12-year-old kid on fast breaks or anything. You got to get the ball in the middle of the court, because if you're playing against a very well-coached defensive team on the opposite side, they're begging you to get in that coffin corner on a press, or to get down in that bottom wing on that 4-out offense that so many teams play now, and Auburn does it a lot. But they're able to trap that wing, whereas a lot of teams just send one player out there to the wing. They'll drop that guard down, and they caught us a few times in the first half. But Bruce Pearl's staff, I think Stephen Pearl and Ira Bowman, and I think those guys can coach up X's and O's as good as anybody. Our inbounds plays have always been something we've talked about, but Brett, they exposed some issues last night, and we cleaned them up in the second half and got better shots and knocked them down. And you don't get that unless you play teams like that, Brett. I don't know that we'll play a team any better defensively than that one last night. So, how can you get that look? Even if you lose,
simulate that in practice.
No, even if you lose that game last night, it's so much better for you to have lost that one to beat somebody at home by 38 points.
But
you just get nothing out of it.
Dude, this resume right now, I mean, I know it's just these 2 wins, but good Lord. I mean, you got a chance to beat North Carolina tonight. I mean, they're number 12 in the country. We talked about this. Now, UConn got eliminated. Well, they didn't get eliminated. They'll play again today in the consolation, but they got knocked out of the winner's side bracket yesterday by losing that game to Memphis. So, you'll move on through this thing and see if you win who you'll take on in that last game. But, man, just a phenomenal way to end that basketball game the way Auburn did. And Kyle comes in and says, season is still young and I have great confidence in JP, but I'm not going to lie, hold my breath anytime Pettiford isn't on the floor. Again, isn't that great, though, that you got a guy? Look, I know everybody's going to think I'm knocking Aiden Holloway, but me and Braden were watching the game together last night, and, he made a couple of key shots, and I thought to myself, and we said it, Aiden Holloway, those would have been bricks last night. He'd have thrown that shot up, and we wouldn't have made – that guy's just a gamer. And I'm not saying that Aiden Holloway's not going to be great for Alabama. I just think maybe that kid maybe was a little overrated.
Well, he's better athletically.
Yeah.
He's way better defensively.
Right.
Hyde Pettiford's he is going to be a pro defensively. I
Right.
mean, his ability to get in passing lanes and he's just got instincts on that side. It's kind of like our what we talked about in the secondary yesterday. You either got ball skills or you don't, Brett.
Right.
Tahad Pettiford's got defensive ball skills that he's going to steal a lot more as the years move on and he gets the speed of the game down. But you can already see the instincts right now. But I think you're dead on. I see JP Pegues, I think, Aiden Holloway. Do you?
Oh
From
yeah.
a frame standpoint.
No,
I
yeah,
mean,
absolutely. That's why you look at it and see, and I think the confidence though that he has versus Aiden Holloway, I
yeah.
think that's the difference. There is no hesitation. There is no shot that he doesn't think he can make. He can't make, and he's going to miss some, but then he's going to give you 14 points almost every night when he's shooting the basketball that way.
But I want to quickly answer. But Denver Jones, if he's got to play the point, we closed the game with him last night. I don't think any of us feel bad about that. Look, he's not as explosive as Pettiford, but he's got the frame.
He
to
struggled
be able
in the first half at the point a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's okay. I mean, again, I think the whole team was caught off guard with the intensity of Iowa State. And like you said, you can't simulate that. Once you experience it in the game, then you figure out how you can make adjustments to get better. And that's what they did. Charles said, didn't watch last night. How did Broome look? Broome looked like Janai Broome looks every night. He had 21 points. I think he led all scores. No, Gilbert had 23 for them, which, dude, was ridiculous last night.
He's a player, buddy. He can get to the rim.
Yeah, he was second team Big 12 last year. And I don't know how he wasn't first team, but probably will be this year. But Janai Broome, 21 points, 7 of 13, had the tap in at the end to win the basketball game. Just a great player. Hit a couple of big threes, okay?
Yeah, two big threes.
Auburn hit 9 threes. 2 of them were Janai Broome, so everybody remember that. So, yeah, Charles, you're going to have to watch tonight, okay? Or maybe don't watch. You didn't watch tonight. Last night we won, so don't watch tonight, and we'll fill you in on how we went, how it went in the morning. Justice said, can you say anything to CBM to keep his confidence, but cut the silly stuff out? Almost cost us, and I fear will down the road. I feel the same way, Justin. I said it last night. In a game like this, you can ill afford when you finally take the lead and take the momentum to have a stupid 4-point play on the other end because you just felt the need to shove a guy. And, he knew he did it. And so he goes over there and tries to make it up. But they're going to always go to the monitor and see if you've done something egregious that warrants a flagrant foul, and you're not going to hide a shove. I mean, there's no reason to do it, man. Like you said, Randy, without him, you don't win the game, but dadgummit. I mean, also with him, you probably lose a lot of times because of stupid stuff like that. It's so frustrating. Just you don't have to do that. He thought he may have learned his lesson last year with the way the first round of the NCAA tournament went against Yale, but he has not. And look, there is no question he threw it off the dude Gilbert's face early in the game. I mean, he was like, you can buy. I'm falling out of bounds trying to save it, but he knew exactly what he was doing. He's like, this is an opportunity for me to hit this guy square in the face, and he did. He needles people, and again, that's part of his game. He tries to get people mentally out of their game, and he does a good job of that. But man, you just can't do stupid stuff coming down the stretch that might cost you. And look, that could have cost us because they tied the game in one possession after we had gotten up to a 4-point lead. And but then he comes back and hits a 2-pointer and take the lead back. You're like, well, it's a love-hate with CBM. There's no doubt about
it. It's a lot like KD. I mean, you've got to take the good with the bad. But the good, when it's really good, like it was in the second half, are 18 points. And he has to, I think he builds himself up like that. And I know that that's what's going through his mind is he's got to amp himself up to get him in the flow. He was dealing with that knee injury last night. You could see it was bothering him, but he played through it. And there in the second half, he made the plays to help us win and knock down some big 3-pointers. So I hope so, Justin. Nobody hopes so any more than all of us that are tuning in right here. But I can assure you it's being talked about. Oh, and I bet it was talked about nonstop in the offseason. So another opportunity last night, just like Ja'Kai Howard, that opening game in Auburn Arena.
Right.
They've got some
Learn your
stuff to go
lesson.
back to and learn your lesson. And I'm hopeful that with some fresh legs, we see some of them tonight, Brett, because I think we're going to need some fresh legs. And I think Ja'Kai and a few of those players, even Chaney Johnson, that didn't play a lot of minutes last night, may be key tonight.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you may see a totally different guy tonight be the guy. That's the great thing about this team is that maybe some of these that had to give a little bit more last night won't have to give as much because Janai Broom had 36 minutes in this game. He didn't sit very much at all. He had to be on the floor, and it showed with the cramping at the end. And in a little small arena like that where it's hot, I mean, you can have the air blasting in there, but you got so many people packed into one area. It gets humid in there and it gets hot, and cramps kind of took over right there. But thank goodness the game was over before they really hit hard. Kyle said, "Will he go down as the best we've ever had?"
I think so. We talked about it yesterday. I think he's got a great chance of winning National Player of the Year. We've never had one. His stats are going to be at or better than anyone we've ever had in program history. And, I mean, who do you even put in there to discuss? I mean, Charles Barkley, but Charles Barkley was a very, very good college player, but his stats weren't eye-popping. I think, what did he have? 14 points, 10 rebounds a game while he was Auburn. I think he led the conference in rebounding, and he was a conference player of the year, but was only there the same amount of years that Janai's there. Now, is Janai going to go on and be an all-time top 25 player of all time like Charles Barkley? No, but I think Janai is going to be a better college player than Charles Barkley ever was, and I think his teams are going to be the reason that you say that. So your thoughts, Brett? I mean, is anybody else that you even remotely? I mean, we would put Chuck Person in there, but he's mine in your generation. We remember watching and being big fans of Chuck Person, and he did take a team on a deep run in the NCAA tournament. But
if he wins National Player of the Year, that the question will be answered.
I agree.
I mean, I think that's how this one will go. But right now, he's the best player in the country, and there may be some that are equal to him out there in some ways. But I mean, so far, even against top-tier opponents, he's giving you 20 points a game. And he's giving you dominance inside, forcing teams, causing problems defensively, and being able to get rebounds. So, I don't know of anybody. I mean, all of those you just reeled off, can be in the talk. But if he finishes this season and Auburn has a great end of this season, I think he'll cement himself as the best that's ever played basketball at Auburn. Mark said the late game blocks by Broom really shows the complete player that he is. Yeah, it's not just waiting down low to get a dish from somebody to have an easy two or trying to isolate and go one-on-one. His defense is as good as anybody's in the country as well. And I totally agree with that, Mark. I mean, it's the little things all the way around that everybody does. I talked about Chris Moore earlier, for those of you that just maybe tuned in. And we had a comment from someone earlier about Chris Moore. I believe it was R. Stews. No, it was Derek, actually, that said, I'll pull this comment back up. Chris Moore is Mr. Hustle, always helps us. And, he made some plays on the offensive side of the floor that really helped Auburn win that game last night. He extended possessions by getting offensive rebounds and defending the way he did on the defensive side. So, look, I'm proud of this team. Again, we're deep. We knew we were going to be deep. You're going to need depth in a lot of these games to be able to withstand these runs. So, let's look at the rest of the Maui Invitational. Memphis knocked off UConn last night in the game earlier in the day, 99-97 in overtime. And, it was you can say it was a kind of a controversial call over the back. And, Coach Hurley kind of lost his mind and got a technical, and that ended up maybe ultimately costing them the game. But I thought he was a little over the top in his post-game press conference, and even UConn fans on Twitter were like, "We love you. Coach Hurley, but it's not a good look. You know, he acted like a little spoiled brat after the game, and you know, just little needling comments. And I know, look, trust me, I get upset too when your team loses and you feel like you've been screwed. I thought the overtime OPI against Auburn against Texas A&M was going to cost us because you know you played all this all night and then you're going to let an official call an offensive pass interference in the second overtime and knock you out of field goal range. I'm like, man, this is crap. So your emotions get the best of you. He'll probably, after he sleeps on that today and wakes up, he's probably going to be like, I probably shouldn't have said all that. But, you know, it is what it is, and they're competitive. You want to go out there and win that tournament. They weren't expecting to lose to Memphis. I can promise you that. And then North Carolina and Dayton last night, like we said, that's who Auburn will take on tonight at 10 o'clock. They'll take on that North Carolina team. Michigan State all over Colorado, 72-56. That was a big win for Michigan State. That was the only game that was really, you know, lopsided. You know, Michigan State really took it to Colorado in that game. And at one point in time, while they were up 12 or 14 points, they were 1 of 15 from outside the arc. So they were taking it to Colorado and still shooting bricks from outside.
Defense, buddy. Defense travels, and we're seeing it in college basketball. I mean, that's a crazy score that you've got showing at the bottom of the screen because those two teams aren't going to give up 80-plus points very often this year. The way that we defend and the way that I saw Iowa State defend last night, I'd be willing to say Iowa State won't give up 80-plus points more than a couple of times this year. So great game by us. I'm looking forward to tonight. It's going to be too late for me to hang around to the end. I can go ahead and tell you that. So when we wake up and we talk tomorrow morning, it's going to be a stat line that I'm going to be talking from and maybe a couple of quick hitters from those that were able to attend. We had great fan support. Iowa State had tremendous fan support there last night too. So or yesterday.
It wasn't a good topic in my house last night.
Yeah, I bet it was. They're probably a little bit upset with you. But we did have good travel, and we always do right now. I understand why, man. You can be as confident as anyone that you can go and see a team that's going to put a great product out there on the court and coaching staff that's going to compete their rear ends off. And best coach we've ever had in program history.
No doubt.
I'd love for somebody to tell me. I mean, if you can find me a coach that Auburn fans have embraced anymore over a longer period of time that looks like he's going to leave the program in as good a shape as Bruce Pearl does whenever he leaves this thing, I'm all ears because I haven't seen it. There's not been a coach. I love Pat Dye. I always will. I'll always be a massive Pat Dye fan, and anybody that says something negative about him, I'll be ready to fight. But Bruce Pearl is the best coach I've seen Auburn ever have, and I'm here for it. You and I love basketball. I love basketball probably more than any other sport because watching it and being engaged in the game so much more fun and fast paced than some of the other. And I love football, but there's something about basketball. So if there was one that I could choose for us to be really good in, it's this one, Brett. And Auburn fans, I don't think I'm the only one saying that now.
No, you're right. I want to be good in football too.
Well, I do too. Yeah,
I love basketball. I want our football team to keep getting better, and we got to do that. And, Saturday was a good start, trying to get on the right track on that. You know, again, Charles, we play at 10 o'clock tonight. So 10 o'clock on ESPN is where you can find Auburn. It's Auburn, North Carolina, man. Dadgum. I'm going to stay up and watch it if I can, if I don't doze off. But that's going to be a fun one to watch. You don't get that matchup very often, so I'm gonna relish that one. Want to go back and as we close out here, talk a little bit about some of the things we have coming up, Randy, and we'll be at Bunkers in Auburn coming up here in a couple of weeks, and looking forward to that. December the 13th, we'll be doing a live Auburn Blitz show from there from 12 to 1. So if you're in the Auburn area on Friday, December the 13th, that's Friday the 13th. Come on out and join us at Bunkers, and you'll love it, man. That place is awesome, and we're excited about doing our show there.
Well, if you haven't been, it's on West Glen. So right if you turn off of College Street, going down West Glen, can't miss it on the right. Got great parking underneath. So I think there's 50 parking spots. You don't have to worry about fighting the crowds there. And we'll be out, hopefully have a lot of guests there with us. That's what we like to do on these remotes, is not sit here. You got plenty of time to sit here and listen to me and Brett give a take on the basketball game last night. When we go to these locations, hopefully a lot of times in the Lake Martin and Auburn communities, we want guests. So if you know of guests, if you have people that you recommend or you'd like to see us reach out to and have a part of the program, send us their way. And same as Bunkers, if you've got a business in some of these communities that are surrounding us that need to get your brand and your message out there, give Brett a call. He'd love to talk to you. You can message me too, and I'll get you in touch with Brett. And we've got a lot of you out there that are finding our program, and we're working harder than ever to keep great content coming your way. So if you see content from others that you suggest that we do too, pass that along. We're all ears, man. We understand it's the 21st century, and we want to stay up with everyone else out there. As Brett scrolls that at the bottom, our YouTube channel is growing daily, so find us. That's Auburn Blitz. It's not only Auburn Blitz programming that our content that we're throwing out there. Brett will be on the road today, heading over to Oxford. Our AHSA outlets will be doing an on the road with AHSA today with Oxford playing Parker. That's the game of the week coming up on Friday. Naeem Alford as an Auburn. Let's segue it back to Auburn a bit. Big story yesterday. It looks like Naeem Alford may be flipping to us. Well, if you want to watch him, you want to know what we're potentially getting, Brett's going to be over in the community that's going to be broadcasting the game on Friday and giving you a storyline built around what's going on, and a quick look at a massively growing community in the state of Alabama and Oxford, Alabama, Brett. What great facilities. If I were you, I'm excited for you to go over there and see the facilities, that place.
Oh, yeah.
They put facilities up that are equal to anybody in the state, including Thompson and some other, Hewitt Trussville and some other crazy nice facilities. Oxford High School's got them up there. They're par with anybody.
Yeah, no doubt. Going to be a fun trip up to Oxford, and going to be able to talk to Coach Sam Adams. I mean, yep, Sam Adams. Yeah,
My kind of coach.
I mean, I was going to say, I don't know if he's going to have a six-pack waiting on us or not. If he's going to have some Oktoberfest or some Winterfest, whatever, Winter Wheat. But anyway, no. Not just being a little bit funny there, but Coach Adams at Oxford's done a tremendous job. You and I have a really good friend that coaches on that staff, so I'm looking forward to seeing Marte today and talking to him. But yep, I mean they've gotten to an undefeated point of the season where they're in the semifinals against a very good Parker team that pretty much, I mean, in state they're undefeated. They lost to Carrollton that has Juju Lewis and the safety or the defensive back that we just got a commitment from on that Carrollton, Georgia team. So, again, that's going to be a great football game in the semifinals. We'll talk more about high school as we get toward the end of the week. I know we've got Thanksgiving coming up Thursday. We hopping on Thursday morning?
Probably not Thursday morning, but we'll be back with you Friday.
Yeah.
Friday morning, we're working, buddy. You can see behind me. That's a great segue. We're wide open, Brett. I mean, sometimes during the holidays, you'll have a little bit of a downturn in business, but you can see all these safety greens behind, or safety oranges behind me going through with boat. There's plenty of business. I think the advertising budgets after the election have really opened up for a lot of corporate businesses out there. And if you're looking to spend that on some swag, some promos, Lee Apparel would love to talk to you, 256-825-0197. And Brett, I'm still working with you and Josh, and all of our team down here on potentially a new location in Auburn. I'll be in a meeting again, just like yesterday. I'll be in another meeting following this up for a new business, hopefully. Give us a call, 256-825-0197.
Okay, guys. our Stu's last comment here before we get off. Did you guys notice how many lines are on the court? Looks like a volleyball court. Good Lord, man. I was like, I couldn't. I'm like, where is the mid court line, and where, it's got to be a little confusing for some of the players.
Well, the 3-point line was the one that was confusing to me.
About
So many
of them. Was it about 3 of them? So anyway, our Stews, we saw that one, man. It was a little bit wild, but all right, guys, we're gonna roll out of here. Get ready to get this day started. I got to get on the road and head up to Oxford again, like Randy said, and talk to Coach Adams, see that community, and have another great on the road show for everybody to come out here in the next couple of days before the Oxford Parker game. Auburn Blitz will be on again as always from noon to 1. It'll be Andy and Jim today, so make sure you tune that in on all our outlets. And hope everybody has a great day. Everybody, War Eagle.